Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Northshore. Happy Easter, Sam.
Happy
Easter to you
Easter.
guys.
It's finally here.
I
We've
know.
been talking about it for weeks and weeks.
Months of planning.
Months and months.
Years of planning. No, more like.
Years have led to this moment.
We have been so excited to be here with you, Northshore Online, and we're so excited that you guys are joining us. We know a lot of you guys, this might be your first time. Maybe you were invited, or maybe you were just like rolling out of bed, scrolling through your Facebook feed, and you were like, oh, there's two random people. Well, you're at Northshore Online right now.
Welcome.
It's Easter Sunday. Good morning. We're super glad you're here, but we would love to connect with you.
Yep.
And I think there's a number.
Yes, you can text Northshore to 97,000. That's the easiest way for us to connect with you. And also comment in the chat section and tell us where you're watching from. We would love to say hi. All of our online hosts are there to greet you and answer any questions that you might have. But it's Easter. We're pumped. I mean, we've been waiting and we're finally here. But I was thinking, Stephen, about Easter's past in my childhood, about like Easter traditions that my family used to do.
Yeah.
And one for me is my grandma always used to, instead of an Easter egg hunt, we would do an Easter scavenger hunt. So she would make like riddles that we would have, like that would take us to a different location, and it would take us like hours to find our Easter baskets.
Yeah.
That was like the grand prize for the scavenger hunt.
That's
the best thing.
Did you guys do Easter bunny photos each year? Is that a thing?
Only when I was little, and then I kind of got scared.
Yeah. Well, we want to see some good Easter bunny photos too. So if you got them and you want to throw them in the chat section, that bold move, but it would be awesome.
Bold move.
Bold move.
What about you though, Easter traditions?
Easter traditions, I feel like at one point we owned bunnies, so that's what comes to mind to me when I think about that. I also think like dyeing Easter eggs, and I don't know how eggs became. I don't know. This is a weird. I was just like so many of them. I know. Look it up. But like Easter eggs, deviled eggs. So many egg-related traditions. A lot of Easter egg hunts. I remember, like, as you grow up, the Easter egg hunts became less about candy and more about cash. So we do like, like cash Easter, which as an adult would be amazing.
Can
like,
we please do that?
If anyone wants to fill a bunch of Easter eggs with cash and invite me over to find them, like, you know where to find me, northshore.church. Shoot me an email. I'll come over to your house and find some cash Easter eggs.
But yeah, that's true. That whenever you would find like cash, or even just like one had like 75 cents in it, you're like adding it up in your head.
So good. I've made $1.35 today. Yes.
So good. Well, let us know in the chat some of your favorite Easter traditions that you've grown up with, or maybe you're making some new Easter traditions starting this year. But we are so thrilled that you guys are joining us again. If you're just logging on, welcome to Northshore. My name's Samantha.
Yeah, and my name is Steven, and today is again Easter Sunday, and there's going to be so much happening in this service. You guys, I'm excited because later on in the service, we're going to have the opportunity to see some people get baptized, and it is just a testament to what's even been happening here for the last few months. You know, something we say around here all the time is that Northshore is a place where we've seen that Jesus can change everything for anyone. And so you'll see so many stories being told today, and the baptisms. It's going to be a really, really exciting service. And again,
just a huge celebration.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Well, one other thing we wanted to ask all of you to do, you're all watching online, so you can do this.
Yes.
Go ahead and share the stream. Share the service on Facebook, or send out the link from the website or YouTube to family and friends. Every single share, every single time that the service is shared this week, I was like, wait, how do I say this? We are going to donate $5 to one of our local food bank partners. So
not only does the service have the potential to change somebody's life, but just it meets such a tangible need right here in our community. So again, it takes like 5.5 seconds. It's never been easier and can have such an impact. So pull out your phone if you're on your computer, or if you're on your phone, you can pull out your computer, vice versa, whatever it is, and just click that share button. Even on YouTube, you can share it no matter where you're watching from. Take a second and do that right now, and we'll donate $5, as Sam said, to a local food bank.
Let's just blow it up. Like, let's get this experience out there everywhere so that people can experience it together. So we are so thankful again that you are joining us. It's time to worship. My favorite part. I think one of your favorite parts too.
Absolutely.
So Northshore, let's get ready to worship together and celebrate that He is risen. Happy Easter and welcome to Northshore.
Hey, this has been a crazy year, but this next song reminds us that our hope is found in Jesus, not in our circumstance. So let's keep singing together. I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. And man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. And then you came along, put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Happy Easter, everyone. It's so good to sing together. Go ahead and take your seats.
You know, over this past year, we've seen so much need in our community. Emotional needs, spiritual needs, even the most basic needs of all, like food and shelter. And through our Together for Fund, we've been able to meet some of those needs. We've been able to team up with other organizations who are meeting those needs in our community as well, which is what leads us here to a little warehouse in Redmond where some really big things have been happening.
The Lake Washington Schools Foundation is a nonprofit organization that works directly with Lake Washington School District to gather community resources to enhance academic access for students and to just generally support overall student well-being. The Pantry Packs program, we're standing in the warehouse right now, and the name of the program is a great description because what we do is we create weekend packs of shelf-stable food, and the idea is to give them food for the weekend.
We're pretty clear on the brain research there that kids need food in order to be able to learn. Monday can be a hard day for kids in general, just that transition back to school. Our families come to school with all different perspectives on what school means. Some have had a really positive experience in their background and others not. Oftentimes, us being able to offer this really tangible food item helps build that trust for our families that we're a safe place, that we're for them.
A lot of times students will have access to food through school lunch programs or breakfast programs during the week, but over the weekend there can be a long stretch if there's food insecurity in their family where they don't have access. We've all been challenged in our life at different times, some of us more than others, and I believe that we're all able to give each other gifts. Sometimes we receive that help and sometimes we give it.
And Northshore, because of your radical generosity, we're able to play a part and give to this incredible work, which is why this Easter, we were able to deliver a check for $60,000 to this organization. It's enough to ensure that no child in the Lake Washington School District will go without food through the rest of this year. See, friends, it's because of that dream to be a church together for our neighbors, the next generation, and those in need. It enables us to come alongside others like this who are doing important work like this in our community. So Northshore, way to go. Well, I wish everybody here at our Kirkland campus and everybody that's joining us in our online campus, I wish all of you could have come with us whenever we went down there that day to drop off that check and to see firsthand the important work that's happening there at Lake Washington Schools Foundation. Just an incredible thing to be part of, and incredible to think about the way those dollars are going to help make sure that nutritional needs are met in the lives of students, as well as so many of the other important programs that organization has in place to support students and their families. It's one of the things I love about being part of this place, is it's the kind of church that doesn't just see need or talk about need, it's a church that steps up to meet need. Not just like this, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars we've been able to give away to partner organizations and other school foundations, and remarkable things going on. So let me just say, if you're one of those who gives here at Northshore, way to go. Thank you. Thank you for teaming up, not only to make what happens here on our Kirkland campus and online campus take place, but for teaming up by allowing us to support other partners throughout our community who are doing amazing work meeting needs through this challenging time. So thank you, way to go. And if you want to be part of that, of course, you can. Those of you who are here on our Kirkland campus, if you want to give, you can do that at any of our exits. There's a little offering box there. And for those of you joining us online on our online campus, you also can give through northshore.church/give and be part of that remarkable experience together. So again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us online. My name is Jonathan Wolfgang. As I said earlier, I'm part of the team here. And what a remarkable day to gather and think about all the people around the world that are gathering to celebrate. And we get to do it right here as well. You know, Northshore has been around for 52 years. And I know some of you have been here since the beginning at Northshore, but others of you, this is your very first time here. In fact, for some of you, this is the first time you've actually put on pants in about a year. So well done. I hope you find it worthwhile. Those of you still enjoying from home in your PJs, we're all a little jealous. But thank you so much for being here. Today we're celebrating the way God is changing lives. We're going to see that in just a little bit with some people who are going to be baptized, and you'll have a chance to participate in that, of course, as well. You know, here's the cool thing. Northshore is more than just a single hour or a couple of neat service projects in the community. Northshore is a community of people who are figuring out what it looks like to go through life together, to support each other through the celebration moments and the struggle moments of life. And if you're looking for that kind of connection, those kinds of relationships, I have great news. Coming up in 2 weeks, on Tuesday, April 20th, there's an experience called Starting Point. It's a 4-week experience designed to help you meet people, find out more about what's happening at Northshore, and discover how you can get connected. So it's all online, which is even better, right? Because if you log on and everybody's freaks, all you got to do is log off, right? I mean, it's beautiful. But we hope you will log on and you won't log off and begin to discover there's people who are dealing with the same challenges you are, but are trying to figure out how to do it in light of God's love for our lives. And we would love to have you as part of that. If you're on our Kirkland campus, stop by our guest services table. If you're joining us online, you can text Northshore to 97,000, and someone will follow up with you about how to get connected there. Now, one of the things we really are serious about is addressing real-life issues. And with the challenges of this last year, there have been so many people who've been doing their very best just to hold it together on the outside. And yet, no matter how hard you try to hold it together, there are times when the wheels just come off, things don't go like you wish they would, moments when you either want to cry or laugh or a little bit of both. In fact, I wonder if any of you can relate to any of the folks in this video. Take a look. Oh, that last one kills me. Can you imagine? That beautiful fish and the sea lion steals it. I've never had that happen, but can I tell you, I've dumped more than my fair share of pots of chili in my life. Have you? Just stuff does not go like you hope it would go. And that's why, starting in 2 weeks, on April 18th, we're starting a new series called I Can Relate. Because all of us know what that's like. And if you're dealing with those kinds of wheels falling off, not sure what to do next questions, we got the series in mind. And you will want to be here and you'll want to bring friends along. So we hope you'll be part of that coming up in just a couple of weeks. But today we want to focus on that incredible moment 2,000 years ago that changed the world forever. And to get us thinking about it, Scotty went to a slightly unusual setting to help get us thinking about not only what a significant day that was all the way back then, but the way it's still touching lives today. Check this out.
Hey everybody, happy Easter. My name is Scotty Scruggs. I'm the pastor here at Northshore, and whether you're joining us online or in person, I am so glad you're celebrating Easter with us, especially if this is your first time with us, or if it's your first time back on campus, welcome back. Some of you know that old story about a florist who received 2 orders for flowers on the same day. The first was for a relocation of a business. The second was for a funeral service in a place kind of like this. Well, somehow the orders got switched, and the flowers for the funeral were sent to the business, and the ones for the business were sent to the funeral, which wasn't a big deal until the business owner read the card which said, "Rest in peace." And if you think that's unfortunate, the flowers that were sent to the funeral said, "Good luck in your new location." Which brings me to the reason I'm here, in a graveyard. Now, I know it might seem a little strange or surprising on Easter Sunday, or maybe you were invited by a friend and you were feeling really positive about the experience until right now. But you know, the very first Easter happened in a place like this. That's right, the most celebrated moment in human history, the reason that billions of people around the world are gathering today to sing and dance and celebrate, is because of what God did in a place like this, where tears are shed, where pain is the norm, where hope seems hard to find. By the way, has anyone else shed any tears over the past year? I was talking to a family of 2 working parents who have 3 kids in elementary school, and they spent the past year working at home and schooling at home and being stuck at home. They actually had to add a second internet service provider because they had 5 people on Zoom. Netflix was streaming on every TV. They spent hours shopping online, but they didn't really buy anything because they couldn't go anywhere. So they just kept rearranging their rooms while they watched old videos of trips they had taken. And after almost a year of this, they told me, we're done. Like, we've got nothing left in the tank. We don't just need to get away, we need to get away from each other. And those of you who are watching with your family right now, you can just whisper amen quietly to yourself, because you know what I'm talking about. The struggle has been real. The discouragement has been real. The longing for a new start has been real. And that's why I'm here. Because Easter is God's response to struggle and suffering. Easter is God's response to discouragement and fear. Easter is God's response to the obstacles that we can't overcome, all the way to places like this. So for the next few moments, I want to tell you the story of something that Jesus did in a place like this, and then I want to give you a chance to decide what that means for your life today. The story is about a man in the Bible named Lazarus. Now, we don't know much about him as a person. We don't know if he was more introverted or extroverted. We don't know if he was taller or shorter. We don't know if he preferred bagels or donuts, although, let's be honest, it's donuts, no contest. What we know is that Lazarus lived in a village outside of Jerusalem called Bethany with his 2 sisters, Mary and Martha. More importantly, we know that Lazarus was one of Jesus' closest friends. In fact, they were such good friends that when Jesus would travel to Jerusalem, he would often stay with Lazarus and Mary and Martha. But then, Lazarus got sick. So sick that Mary and Martha sent word to Jesus about it. They said, "Lord, your dear friend is very sick." But when Jesus heard about it, he said, "Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God will receive glory from this." Now notice, before anything happens, Jesus tells us how the story is going to end. It's like that person who, before they watch a movie or a Netflix series, gets online and reads about the ending before they watch it. Does anyone else know one of those people? Some of you are sitting next to one of those people right now. Sometimes Nina and I will be watching something and she'll say, "I accidentally read about what happened. Do you want to know?" And I'll say, "No, I don't want to know." "And what do you mean you accidentally read about it? How do you accidentally find out what happened in this show?" But for Nina, it's a way to have the assurance that in the end, everything is going to be okay. Well, when Jesus hears about Lazarus, he tells his disciples how the story is going to end. This sickness will not end in death. Now, that doesn't mean that Lazarus isn't going to die. It just means that death is not going to be the end of his story. And by the way, for those of you who follow Jesus, he knows how your story is going to end too. And that doesn't mean that you won't experience some really difficult circumstances in your life, like that tragedy, that abuse, that depression, that challenge in your family. But according to Jesus, those things aren't going to have the last word on your life. He is. And we're about to see why that's such good news. But of course, Mary and Martha, they don't know this yet. And then to make matters worse, look at what Jesus does next in the story. The text says, "So although Jesus loved Martha and Mary and Lazarus, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days." Not just a few hours, but 2 full days. And the text doesn't say he was in a meeting or helping someone in need. he just doesn't show up. Not on the first day, not on the second day. And then Lazarus dies. Still no Jesus. And they wrap him in grave clothes and bury him in a tomb. Still no Jesus. In fact, we're told that Lazarus has been dead 4 days before Jesus finally shows up. And that's important because in that day, people believed that when a person died, their soul would remain with their body for 3 days, but on the 4th day, the soul would depart, meaning game over, end of story. Or as the great theologian Bugs Bunny would say, that's all, folks. So 4 days after Lazarus dies, Jesus finally shows up. And Mary and Martha didn't come out and say, at last you're here, finally we're saved. You know what they said? You're too late, Jesus. In fact, Martha's exact words were, Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. In other words, Jesus, you could have done something about this, but you didn't. And by the way, has anyone else ever felt that way? Has anyone else ever said, God, where were you? Or why didn't you do something? Or why aren't you listening? I sure have. So what's going on here? Well, the theological answer is that God's plan doesn't always follow our timeline. God's plan doesn't always follow our timeline. Sometimes it looks like he's late or he's absent. But remember, Jesus knows how the story is going to end. So he doesn't see himself as late. He knows he is right on time. Because God's plan doesn't always follow our timeline. But there's something even deeper going on here. You see, the point of the story is not just that Jesus knows how it ends, it's that he loves us in the middle. You see, when God seems late, we tend to assume that he just doesn't care, right? That he's too busy or he's too far away. But remember, back at the beginning of the story, the text said that Jesus loved them. Even though he waited 2 more days, he loved them. And then when Jesus goes to Lazarus' tomb, he breaks down and he weeps. And get this, the people watching him say, see how much he loved him. See, even though Jesus is the Son of God, even though he has the power to raise the dead, when he sees our pain and our suffering, he feels it. His heart breaks. Why? Because he loves us, even in the middle of the mess. You know, at night when I put our daughter Nora to bed, I always tell her, Daddy doesn't love you this much, or even this much. Daddy loves you this much. Well, a few weeks ago, I went up to her room and she was sitting there with an orange marker in her hand. Now, I don't know how she got that orange marker because we keep the markers locked away, like in a safe, in the garage, up on a shelf, under a blanket, covered with shards of glass, because you can't leave a 3-year-old alone with a marker. That's like parenting 101. Well, somehow, Nora found an orange marker and she used it to practice her penmanship all over the carpet. And I looked at the floor, and I looked back at her, and she knew she was in trouble because she looked at me with those precious little eyes and said, Daddy, I love you this much. Friends, that's how God loves us. Even when it's hard, even when life is messy, even when we don't deserve it, Jesus doesn't just know the end, he loves us in the middle, and he loves us this much. And so when Martha came out to see Jesus, Jesus didn't rebuke her, he loved her. And he told her, your brother is going to live again. And she says, yes, I know, in the resurrection on the last day. And Jesus said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. And then he looked her in the eyes and he said, I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will live even after dying. And everyone who lives in me and believes in me will never die. And then he said, do you believe this, Martha? And if you want, you can just take out Martha's name and insert your own. Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Do you believe that Jesus is the resurrection and the life? Do you believe that Jesus has the power to heal and forgive and redeem and restore? Do you believe that Jesus can get you through that divorce? Do you believe that Jesus can free you from that addiction? Do you believe that Jesus can heal you from that hurt? Do you believe that Jesus is stronger than your sin? Do you believe that Jesus is greater even than the grave? Because I hate to break it to you, but someday we're all going to end up in a place like this. I read about a woman who's 102 years old, and someone asked her, what's the best part of being 102? And she said, no peer pressure. You see, the question isn't, am I going to face death? Because clearly the answer is yes. Last time I checked, the mortality rate for human beings was hovering right around 100%. The real question is, do I believe that Jesus defeated death? Because how you answer that question changes how your story is going to end. But before you answer that question, Jesus has one more thing he has to do. He goes up to the tomb, and he told them to roll away the stone, and the response is, no way. And I love how the old King James Version puts it. It says, by this time, he stinketh. In other words, it's bad. There's going to be a smell. And by the way, when we let God into the sin and mess in our lives, it's going to stink. There's going to be hard conversations, uncomfortable moments, embarrassing revelations, painful emotions. But guess what? Jesus can handle it. So Jesus told them to roll away the stone, and then he prayed, and then look what happens. Jesus shouted, Lazarus, come out. And if you want, you can take out Lazarus' name and insert your own, because Jesus is calling you out of that grave, out of that sin, out of that shame, out of that spiritual darkness, whatever it may be, you can come out. And then the text says, and the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. And Jesus told them, unwrap him and let him go. You see, Jesus doesn't just want to bring you back to life. He wants to set you free from whatever is holding you down. Right now, some of you are wrapped up in an addiction. Some of you are tied down by depression. Some of you are trapped in that sense of guilt. Some of you are carrying the weight of shame or regret or hurt. And Jesus can free you from that. But you can't do this on your own. Just like Lazarus was totally powerless to call himself out of that grave, so are you, and so am I. Which is why Jesus came into the world. It's why he went to a cross. It's why he gave up his life. And you know what? When he died, they wrapped him in grave clothes and buried him in a tomb. And God didn't show up. Not on the first day, and not on the second day. But then on that third day, Jesus rose. And on that first Easter morning, a group of women came to the grave to grieve, but the stone had been rolled away, and the tomb was empty, and a messenger from God appeared and gave the very first Easter sermon in a place a lot like this. He said, why are you looking for the living among the dead? He is not here. He is risen. And here's the best part. That story can be your story. Some of you may remember that movie, The Sixth Sense. It's about a boy who sees dead people, and Bruce Willis plays a psychologist who tries to help him. And the movie ends with this huge plot twist. I don't want to ruin it for you, but Bruce Willis is one of the dead people. Sorry, I guess I'm now one of those people too, right? But there's this moment in the movie when the boy talks about seeing the ghosts, and he says, I see dead people walking around like regular people. They only see what they want to see. They don't even know that they're dead. You see, it's possible for you to be spiritually dead and not even know it. For you to see only what you want to see. For you to believe, hey, I'm doing okay. But inside, your soul remains lost in sin and in spiritual darkness. And that's why this can be such a scary place. Because left to ourselves, there's no way around it until Easter, until Jesus rose from the grave. And because of that, you can receive a new life and a fresh start and a hope that not even death can stop. Because everyone who believes in Jesus will never really die. This place It's just a stepping stone to a new location where you'll never taste death, you'll never know pain, your body will be renewed, your heart will be restored, and your soul will be healed. But you have to believe. You have to say, Jesus, I trust you, I believe in you, I surrender my life to you. And some of you have never made that decision. So I want to give you a chance to do that right now. It's a simple prayer. You can just say to God right now in your heart, God, thank you for loving me and for sending Jesus into the world. I believe he died for my sins and that he rose from the grave. And so now I surrender my life to you. And friends, if that's your prayer today, I am so happy for you, because now you know that in the end, everything will be okay. And for those of you who already know Jesus, I believe God has more freedom and purpose and joy for you. Maybe you've been walking with God for a long time, but you're still tied up in your fears or your anger or your insecurity. Well, you can ask Jesus right now to untie you and free you from whatever's holding you back. And you know, while we aren't told what Lazarus did next, I'm pretty sure every day mattered to him. I mean, how could it not after this? And God wants you to live with the same kind of freedom and purpose and joy. Every day counts. And if you want to know more about that in your life, I hope you'll reach out and let us help you find what God might have in store for you. And then there's one more step that some of you need to take. See, for the past 2,000 years, whenever someone said yes to Jesus, they would be baptized. Because baptism is just a symbolic way to say, I get a fresh start. I get a second chance. I'm coming out of that grave and receiving new life from Jesus. And to help you see the power of this, we asked a few individuals here in our church to share about their decision to be baptized. So take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Yamei Wu.
My name is Kayla.
My name is Benny. I was born in Kenya, Nairobi, and I grew up somewhere in a very enclosed village called Kiambu. And later I came to Miami.
I grew up in China, so I came from a small town called Suzhou, and I go through college and then eventually get an opportunity to come over here in US.
My family wasn't religious, but I had a best friend growing up that was, and I was always curious, and she would invite me every so often, and so I would go on and off on like Christmas and Easter.
Life in Miami was not cool as I expected. It was really a discourage for me, and I went up and down looking for friends, looking for people to love me.
I first heard about Jesus when I came here in 2009. I was very skeptical about the story, to be honest. And for a really, really long time, I just found it's really hard to believe.
I guess life before going to church was the way I can put it is isolating.
I felt so lonely in Miami. I didn't have friends, I didn't have family.
I just feel like very lonely and very helpless.
I feel like the anxiety in my life looked very chaotic. I just felt like I was the only one dealing with it, and I had to figure it out myself.
And then I decided that now it's time for me to go to church.
And at that point, I met a friend from church.
We had a family friend who knew Jonathan Wolfgang, and we came one Sunday, and then we stuck ever since.
And I decided to move here from square zero with nothing.
I heard about Alpha through people from the church, like, hey, you want to know more about the Bible, and a lot of people are kind of on the similar shoe that you.
And then going to church, it kind of opened up my eyes to like, hey, I don't have to do this alone. There's a huge community out there. And then meeting Jesus, I also noticed that like, I actually have someone to walk through this crazy life with.
After dumping out all the emotion garbage and emotion burden, I was ready for a new start. Baptism offered a new start.
I don't know, it just clicked, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna finally do it, like no more excuses, and this is like the next big phase in my journey.
I came here not knowing anybody. I didn't have friends. And I remember when I filled up that form to get baptized, they asked me if I have a family around or friends who want to share the celebration, but I didn't have anybody. And I came here, me and just my roommate. I remember when I got baptized that day, it was the most special moment for me. Because after I got baptized, they all clapped for me. I felt like God is welcoming me back. There was a family waiting for me.
Wasn't that incredible? And friends, that story can be your story because God is ready to welcome you back. And there's a family right here waiting for you that loves you. And so, if you haven't been baptized, whether you've been following Jesus for a long time or you just made that decision today, I want to give you right now a chance to take that step. Now, some of you are thinking, but this is a church. There must be a meeting to attend or a class to take. No, actually, you just took the class. Some of you may be thinking, but my faith, it's kind of a private thing, just between me and God. Well, imagine if when I asked Nina to marry me, I said, I want to be committed to you, but let's just keep it kind of a private thing. You know, letting other people know we're married, that's just kind of embarrassing. Any guesses on how that would have turned out? Yeah, not very well. Because there's something really important about going public and saying, I don't care what other people say or think. Because this is about Jesus saying, come out of that grave, come out of that spiritual darkness, come out of that sin, and receive the freedom and joy I have for you. So, I want everyone watching right now to get out your phone. I see some of you are still just staring at me. I know you know what a phone is. If you have one, get it out right now. And then open the Message app. And in just a moment, I'm going to invite anyone who wants to be baptized to text us right now. Just text the word MyFaith to 97000. We have online hosts who are ready to follow up with you. And by the way, if you're not sure or you have more questions about this whole Jesus thing, just text us. We would love to have a conversation with you about whatever's going on in your life. But friends, this could be your moment. Even if you're still in your pajamas, even if you're surrounded by family and it's noisy and chaotic, Jesus is calling you out of that grave and he can set you free. So, when I count to 3, anyone who wants to be baptized can text MyFaith to 97000. Are you ready? This is your moment. Are you ready? Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Down.
As we look down the road
singing together. But if today is your day to get baptized, be bold. Step over to the left, first floor. We'd love to baptize you. We have plenty of time, plenty of space. We'd love to celebrate with you. Let's keep singing. once was crowned with thorns is crowned with glory now. The Savior knelt to wash our feet. Now at his feet we bow. The one who wore our sin and shame, now robed in majesty, the radiance of perfect love now shines for all to see. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. The fear that held us now gives way to him who is our peace. His final breath upon the cross is now alive in me. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. By your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting Let's all sing this together. The tomb where soldiers watched in vain was borrowed for 3 days. His body there would not remain. Come on, sing it. Our God is robbed of the grave. One more time. Our God is robbed the grave. Oh, Jesus.
incredible. Yay, Jesus, right? For that. There's nothing like seeing God change a life. And some of you might be thinking, gosh, that was my moment, but I didn't quite have the guts to go up there. Well, you could still sign up and be baptized. We're going to do that later this month, so make sure you stop by guest service on your way out. We'd love to know more about your story. Some of you may be thinking, gosh, the Jesus story, I've heard it a few times, but it's just, I'm not there yet. It doesn't quite click for me. Well, that's okay. We're so glad you're here. And we actually have an experience here at Northshore designed for you called Alpha. It's a safe environment where you can ask any question, go deeper into questions of God, faith, the meaning of life. It starts in just a couple of weeks. We'd love for you to be part of that. In fact, you can text Try Alpha to 97000 and you can find out more. I would love it if you took that step. And for the rest of you, we are so glad that you're here. And God has something powerful in store for you even this week. And because of Easter, we know that Jesus has not only overcome the grave, he's overcome every challenge we face in our lives. And that's why we can celebrate. So have a wonderful Easter, and we'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for being here, everybody.